Isn't this a Dream Theater song that I'm playing right here? How'd you like that Dream Theater song? Right? Is that Dream Theater? Oh wait, wrong Dream Theater song, right? Hey everybody, how you doing? Nice to see you. Welcome to another week of the Bass with Benjamin live stream, and I'm really excited to be back doing this again. It doesn't feel very long ago that we did last week's one, and also I just can't believe this is number 5 as well. So let's just keep it on going. And as promised, here is my beautiful fretless bass. I'll talk more about that in a second. Just want to say hey to everybody that has been putting some stuff in the comments here. How you doing, Ray Chu Ketchum? We got Mayank Gulati, Israel Murillo, who asked for a Dream Theater song. I should learn. So, I don't know any Dream Theater tunes. That's the thing, and I do admire Dream Theater, but I think it might be time to kind of just check out or learn how to play a Dream Theater tune, or few. We'll see. Since I've had a reputation of learning people's hard music, so I could give it a go. Right? We'll see. Hold that thought. And Steve Weingart, what's up, my brother? How you doing? In fact, I've been working on some tracks for Steve's record that he's currently working on, and it has some very exciting guests and personnel. And so stay tuned for that at some point. It's really, really fun music. Just a lot of things for me to do on it, which is really cool. And of course, since you're here on my YouTube channel, please go ahead, like, subscribe, and click the notification bell. That way, the algorithm will start becoming my friend even more and more and show my stuff on your feeds as well as other people's feeds as well. And if you've missed the previous live streams, you can also have a look at the full replays of those here on the channel, as well as some of my other content that I've been putting up. So please go and have a look at that. But this bass here, I've been meaning to kind of play a bit of fretless here on the live stream, because last week I was doing some bass tracks for a wonderful keyboard player over in Armenia named David Davtian, and there was a track where actually both of the tracks he needed me to play some fretless, but there was one track in particular I had to play fretless on the whole thing, and it was like a tribal tech inspired tune, which is really cool. I'm quite a fan of tribal tech, of course. The great Gary Willis, who is a big influence for me, as well as he's a fellow Ibanez bassist as well. So that was really cool to be able to play that kind of vibe, and it was quite demanding for what I had to play, which is really cool. So it was a great challenge, and so yeah, I've been kind of playing a bit of fretless, and I thought, hey, it might be cool to kind of do that today. And the body looks like of a Ritter. Interesting shape for an Ibanez. Exactly, yes. And yeah, I am kind of hip to Ritter instruments. Very boutique. But no, this bass, just like my 6-string Groove Line, which I think you can see over there, which is my main instrument. This is the 5-string fretless version of that. And actually, this bass here was the first bass that I got from Ibanez when I first joined them as an Ibanez artist, which was now, that's 14 years ago now, which is crazy. I'm like, wow, time flies. But they've been really great, and yeah, when I joined them, they gave me this instrument. Now, it wasn't fretless at first. It was fretted, and for a while, this was my main bass before I got my six string. And so this bass has been all over the world, and I used this when I was touring with American Idol singer named David Archuleta. And so it's been on a lot of pop gigs, as well as I've played it on gigs with Lee Ritenour. It was my main workhorse, just being fretted, because it was the best instrument that I had at the time. So I was mainly playing a lot of 5-string. I still had a 6-string, but it was an old Ibanez BTB. But this was the model that Ibanez had at the time. It was their new high-end model, the Groove Line series, right? And I do have a whole video about the Groove Line basses here on my channel. As always, you should definitely check it out after this. I go more in-depth about just the Groove Line models as it was. Essentially, they were very short-lived. I think there was a lot of things about this model, the Groove Line, that was just quite ahead of its time. So that was something that people were. I think it definitely surprised a lot of people who were used to typical Ibanez, like the BTB or the sound gears, those kinds of things. So when this instrument came out, they're like, "Wait, what's going on there?" The body shape was definitely something that I think caught a lot of people off guard, because it is very unusual. And the reason why it's shaped like this is because this is a very ergonomic instrument. When it sits on your lap, it has this natural, you can see it's got this diagonal direction when it's just sitting, so that it's in a natural playing position, whether you're standing or sitting. So it's a very ergonomic shape, and especially with the cutaway here, how it's definitely got a low profile going on here, and the lower horn is so that it can just balance when it's sitting. I mean, look, I'm not wearing a strap. I'm just freehanding it right now. It's just loosely sitting, and it is very well balanced. That's what these basses were definitely known for. They're just kind of just sitting. It's just sitting like that, which is really cool. I'm definitely used to instruments that just go, "Yeet," but this one just stays like this. And so when I got my Groove Line 6-string, that instantly became my main instrument, because essentially when I was playing Lee Ritenour's gig, I was taking 2 instruments with me, which, when you're traveling, that can be a bit of a hassle, difficult. I was taking a 6-string bass, and I was taking this instrument. But really, this sound was much more superior than the 6-string bass that I was taking. And so I asked Ibanez. They had just come out with the 6-string version of the Groove Line. I said, "Hey, do you think I could get that 6-string?" They said, "Yeah, absolutely." So I literally picked up my 6-string Groove Line the morning of when I was flying out to Indonesia to go do a bunch of dates with Lee Ritenour and Phil Perry, a great vocalist who's collaborated with Ritenour over the years. And so that was the start of that. And so that meant that this 5-string fretted bass obviously got sidelined quite a bit, and I'd take it to a few gigs now and then, but it wasn't getting much play. And so I eventually, I at the time I did have a fretless bass. I actually had a Gary Willis fretless bass. It was the black one, and it was an incredible instrument. And the sound that I was going for, that wasn't the sound that I wasn't that I was going for a fretless bass. It was a beautiful sound, but for what I wanted, it was a little different. So I ended up selling that bass, and I asked Ibanez in LA at the custom shop, "Hey, could we turn this into a fretless?" And they said, "Yeah, but are you sure that's what you want to do?" And I said, "Absolutely." Because obviously we can't go back. I mean, or you probably could, but it'll take quite a bit of work to do that. I said, just do the whole Jarko treatment. Take out the frets, fill it in with wood putty, and put a whole bunch of epoxy. So about 4 months later, I'd get a text message from Mike Arrigo saying, "Hey, your fretless is ready." And so that, I went and picked it up, and this thing is just incredible. It's definitely worn in quite a bit over the years. I've used it on a lot of gigs. I've used it a lot with Peter Erskine on the Dr. Gigs. Recorded this bass with him as well on 2 records. And it's just a beautiful instrument. It's definitely probably the best fretless bass that I've ever played so far. And I just thought, it sounded so great as a fretted bass, but I think it would also sound really good as a fretless, and it does. So it has a nice, beautiful singing tone up high, as you heard. And then a nice, rich, warm, low end. Even on the low B. And a great punch as well, So, yeah, that's just a bit about my fretless there. And if you have any questions, remember, this is like the bass nerd hour. All right. So any like nerdy bass questions or anything like that, anything, please put them down in the comments there in the chat, and expect to get a nerdy bass answer or two. So yeah. The thing that I wanted to also kind of talk about, and maybe some of you have seen this, there was actually a really good video the other day or last week that came out on Yannick Guzdala's channel, where he interviewed John Patitucci. And at the end there, they talked about John Patitucci's action. For those of you who don't know, John is he uses a higher than usual action on his bass. Which I totally understand, and you can even hear it when he plays, because you don't really hear like much fret buzz or anything going on there. And the way that he plays, he definitely digs in, so he definitely doesn't have low action for sure. And Yannick is someone who I remember, even when I first met Yannick, like over 15 years ago. Because he used to come out to like the jam sessions as well. That's where I'd see him, or at the NAMM show, or Bass Day, or the old Bass Day shows and all that. And when he was playing the Federa basses, he had very low action on there. That was his thing. He had the ramps and all that. And I think it was after he had met Patitucci and played his bass, and John said, "Hey, well, that's where the tone is." So Yannick started raising his action up. But anyway, what I'm getting at is that when I was living in LA and playing a lot of gigs, I did have a fairly decent, higher action on my bass, and that's because being an upright bass player, um, my action was about medium on that. I never had super low action on my upright bass because the sound, or just my touch in general, was where I'm getting the sound. I'm really pulling the sound. I'm not over pulling it. That's the thing. I'm not overdoing it, but I do like to dig in. And so, of course, playing the bass guitar, it's kind of the same thing there, where on a super low action, I can't actually play it. It's actually very tiring and exhausting for me. And I actually would get more blisters. So I even tried, I thought for the longest time I had to have low action. And so I set up my basses to have super low action. I raised the pickups to be closer to the strings. And it just didn't work out for me. It really didn't. It was, I just couldn't get the sound that I wanted. And I couldn't play the stuff that I wanted because it was just, it just didn't work out. So I started kind of raising the action a little and actually got to the part where obviously my hands want to naturally play where they want to naturally dig in. I'm still not like, I'm still playing with a light touch, but not like, I'm not exerting any force to play with a lighter touch. If I need to, I can, to play like dynamically soft. But in terms of like my regular kind of velocity and attack, I've found the middle ground, and that's what I recommend if you're trying to figure that out as well. Of like, where should I have my action? Should I have it high or should I have it low? I think you need to just kind of play around and get it to where your hands and body are like, yes, that's exactly where you can play, where it feels good for you. Don't just have the action where somebody else has it because that's what they say they have it at. But feel free to explore like what it's like to have low action, what it's like to have high action. But also at the same time, take care of your hands as well. Don't, just because, there was that video that came out with high action. And when they're talking about high action, when John's talking about high action, it's not like something where you can like literally park your car in between the strings and the fingerboard. It's not like that. It's higher than usual standards, all right, but not much. At the end of the day, being an upright bass player and John being an upright bass player as well, obviously, nothing is going to be higher than upright bass action. That's the thing. So when I get to this thing, it feels, actually low, even though it might be just a touch higher than typical. So I would say just try a little bit, like bit by bit, see how it works. And let me know in the chat, where do you like to have your action at currently on your bass? Some like it high, some like it low, some like it in between. Some are still figuring it out, but that's really cool. Someone was saying here they raised their action because of Yannick a while ago. Yeah, it's definitely something to consider. And playing a very different bass in a very different style of music. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing too. It's like all my basses have different actions as well, because every bass serves a different purpose. So consider my 6 strings more like they're designed to. It's because they're my main instruments. So I have them where I can. Obviously, if I want to play some fast stuff, do more technical, like the chords and all that, it has to be where, okay, it is low enough to be able to do that, but not super low. All right, I still have some resistance in there. My P bass, that definitely has a higher action and flat wounds because that's the type of sound that I'm going for, right? This bass, I would say it's a good medium. It's not really low. You can hear that there is a punch where I can, get a natural kind of dig into it. But even at like I've had it higher than this before, and it still maintains or retains the fretless. It still maintains that nice singing quality. What I found, over the years, definitely a lot of older bass players, I've noticed on their basses they have higher actions. When I was studying with Alfonso Johnson, I was also his bass tech as well. I would set up his basses and equipment around LA at like the Baked Potato or whatever gigs he was playing. So that also meant that I would obviously set up all his basses. I would do any tweaks or anything like that. So I knew those basses. I've played those basses a lot. And he plays very high action, higher than I thought. And because he has a big touch. He's got giant hands as well. And you can hear, like, when he's playing, there's a big sound, a big punch coming through that. And I also noticed the same thing. Was one time I tried out Nathan East's 6-string Yamaha bass, and that's a high action as well. It wasn't as high as Alfonso's, but it was pretty, like, for what he does on the instrument. I was like, wow, this is actually pretty, pretty decent right there. And then I got to play Matthew Garrison's bass at the NAMM show like years ago. And that was probably the lowest action on a bass guitar that I've ever played. It was to a point where I could barely get a sound out of it because the strings were just so close to the fretboard, and he uses those ramps. So it's amazing watching him play and how he gets such a beautiful sound. But it's his touch, and that's his thing that he's figured out. But for me, I couldn't do it. Same thing on Hadrian's bass on his Ken Smith. I've played on that a bunch of times, like at jam sessions and all that, and I couldn't do it. So those guys, they have a very unique touch to how they play. So yeah, but yeah, let me know down in the comments what your actions are on your instruments. I'll just play a little more, just kind of jam. Obviously, if you heard the intro that I was playing there, I kind of went into Body and Soul. Beautiful, standard that I haven't played in a while, but really nice ballad, and I thought it might be kind of cool. Let's see what we could do here. So if you're just joining me on the live stream, how you doing? Nice to see you. You can put any questions or anything like that down in the comments. And this is just the bass nerd hour, and I'm just having a lot of fun here, having to go on the fretless. But there is another bass that I want to kind of jump on as well. You can probably see it right here. It is not a Fender, that's for sure. I have only Ibanez basses here, and I'm gonna switch to this bass. This thing right here is something that's really cool, and it looks exactly like a Fender, and obviously it is a copy of one, but this is also an Ibanez. This is an Ibanez Challenger from 1977. Obviously it's a P bass, but with an added jazz pickup. I think originally this was just a P bass, and someone at some point in the course of this bass's lifetime has added the jazz pickup in there. So obviously being a PJ configuration, I think this is at a time where that was becoming very popular to do those kind of modifications. This is a lawsuit bass. You can find a lot of these instruments online for really good prices, and they're incredible. They really are. These were made in Japan, and they pretty much have the same specifications as a vintage Fender bass. And I have 3 of these vintage Ibanez lawsuit basses. And I have obviously the P bass that you saw in one of the episodes I did. There's a jazz bass. I have a 70s jazz bass, and then this thing, and and that's my dad down there saying, "I know that bass." And actually, when I got this bass, I got it from an old buddy that I went to Cal Arts with. He was a guitar player, and he had it lying around for years. And he gave it to me. He said, "Hey, do you want this? I don't think maybe you can get it fixed or whatever." But he said, "I don't want to hold on to it anymore." And I said, "Sure." And of course, it just sat around in my closet for many years as well, because it was an absolute beat up condition. It wasn't even playable. The frets were damaged. Seriously. I think what happened was someone tried to take out the frets and refret it, and they'd used a hammer and just really banged it in, and so of course the frets got dented. Chips of the fingerboard had come off. The electronics were absolutely busted, so I knew that this would take a minute. It would be a project bass. And I even asked Ibanez, "Hey, do you guys think you might be able to restore this instrument?" And at the time, they weren't able to, because they just had a huge backlog of instruments that they were just doing. So they weren't able to. So I gave it to my dad, and I said to my dad, "Hey, you can have this bass if you can get it restored." And so he was able to get a local luthier to restore it back into playing condition, which is really cool. Obviously, got refretted properly. A lot of the chips and all that had to get filled in. Fixed the electronics and actually added another control, so it just works as 2 volumes and a tone. And it's an incredible instrument. Over in Melbourne. Melbourne Guitar. As my dad saying there. It's an incredible instrument. It really is very snappy. It's real funky. It's very active. It's got a great punch, really great bite. Being this maple and ash body, it's definitely a lot of 70s vibe. It's a great funk bass. I have the action a little higher on this one because this is a bass that you want to kind of dig in, That's with both pickups on. Of course, you put just the bridge pickup on. It's got a nice. So it's beautiful, and then you can do the whole P bass tone, of course. Yeah, it's such a really fun bass to play, really easy to play, and just like really just pops out really nicely. And since last week, I pulled out a tune from the gig archives. I thought it might be cool to do that today as well. Actually, 2 tunes because they're short enough, as opposed to last week's one, which was a big epic opus, like 10 minutes long. And so I thought it might be cool to kind of feature this bass on these 2 tunes. And this is actually, these are tunes by a really great friend of mine, incredible musician by the name of Ellis Hall. And Ellis, he's a protege of Ray Charles, the late great Ray Charles, as well as being an incredible musician and person himself. He used to be the lead singer and also played organ and keyboards in Tower of Power back in the mid 1980s. Performed a lot, as well as he was with the California Raisins as well. But since then, you know, he's done quite a lot of collaborations with people, with a lot of his own stuff on that have been featured in film and television. And I've played so many gigs with him over the years, and I started playing with him when I was 21, and it was actually very last minute. It was literally 2 days before I got a call from him. I'd never met him before, but he had got my number from somebody, and asked me like, hey, would you be able to play a gig with me? It's like in 2 days over at the old Cafe Cordial. And I said, sure. So I went over and he gave me a CD with all the tunes I had to learn. That was a great learning experience for me because I didn't know many cover tunes or the typical tunes that you would play on gigs, like cover gigs. And on this gig, it was a mixture of covers and original tunes. But this was the gig that I was learning music for that helped me gain my repertoire of learning Stevie Wonder tunes, learning Earth, Wind and Fire tunes, you know, all Michael Jackson, Chaka Khan, like all the typical kind of, you know, dance, disco, funk, R&B stuff. More of the Motown tunes as well, which is a big deal, especially if you're playing cover gigs in LA or kind of anywhere now. But anyway, he had a couple of original tunes I also had to learn, and so I'm going to play 2 of them right here. They're really funky tunes that I just love. I'll add, I don't know who else is playing on them, but I know that Ellis is playing keys, he's singing, and he's also playing bass on these tunes, as well as the Brecker Brothers are playing horns on these 2 tunes as well. So this first one here is called, very appropriately, Welcome to the Function. So here we go. Welcome to the function. And so that's the thing about this bass is that, like, to play that kind of stuff, there's just obviously, like, there's the vibe and just the energy to where you gotta kind of just dig in. That's like the sound of it, and so that's why this bass is so great for playing this kind of stuff. And being a PJ configuration, it's just such a different sound as well than a typical just P bass and a jazz bass. But it's a real funky bass that I just love to play. So here's the other tune. So that one was Welcome to the Function. This one is I believe it's a cover of a Sam and Dave tune called Hold On and Comin'. And so this is Ellis's version. Again, Breaker Brothers playing the horns on it. And I'm not sure who else is playing on this. I'll have to ask him. But this is a really fun one as well. So here we go.
Don't you ever feel sad? Lean on me when the times are bad. When the day comes and you're down, you're in trouble. Look down, yeah. Hold on, I'm coming. Hold on, I'm coming. If you get home, don't have to worry, 'cause I'm here. No need to suffer, 'cause I'm right here. Yeah. Hold on, hold on. When the day comes, I'm feeling low down. In the river of trouble, about to drown. Hold on, hold on, I'm coming. Talking to you,
Oh man, it's a lot of fun. Just kind of just having a nice jam with some of these tunes that I used to play with some of my friends. And typically on that gig with Ellis Hall, I'd just be playing my six string groove line because that's just the bass that I would use on all the gigs for everything. And there was also a part of me that was trying to prove that I could use the six string on just about any gig as well, which is really funny. So I'd use it on pop gigs, I'd use it on funk gigs, obviously jazz gigs and all that. I even used it on a few rock gigs, and even playing country folk music. And a lot of times, you know how you hear those stories of a bass player showing up to a studio and they have a bass that's not traditional looking, and the producer is just like, no, go get a bass that is either a P bass or a jazz bass, or they call somebody else. Well, unfortunately, knock on wood, that was not my experience. And I think because I didn't draw attention to it, that, okay, I'm making it obvious that I have a six-string bass here in the studio. It would usually just be, because a lot of times I would be set up in a booth or something, and the producer is kind of focused on stuff with the engineer or somebody else, and so I'm plugging in, I'm getting sounds. And if we cut the track, we cut the tune, and then afterwards, the producer will be like, "Man, that bass sounds great. What bass is it?" I'll be like, "Have a look over there," and they see that's a six-string bass. Like, oh, okay. This is the thing: is like when playing, and this was a good challenge for me to be able to play this bass on tunes like this, which is typically what was done. And on the six-string bass, I like to play the six-string bass on tunes as if I'm playing a four-string bass, if you know what I mean. Even though I have a low B and a high C string, I'm still going to approach certain tunes like I would on a 4-string bass. So, for example, if I'm playing Motown stuff or any Earth, Wind, and Fire, Stevie Wonder tunes, a lot of times, majority of the time, I'm not touching that low B and definitely not touching the high C because you can still use the 6-string bass as if you're playing a 4-string. And a lot of times, it's also like the sounds, the tone, the timbre. Even though on a 6-string, you have, yes, you could play things in like one position because you have the extra strings. For me, that's not always what it's all about. There's a certain way that playing up here, high up on the G string, sounds the way that it sounds is definitely different than how you would play that on the high C string, which is the thinnest string. So that's why I approach the 6-string bass like that. I see the 6-string bass as all of the basses in one. That's how I like to do that. I think it's just because it has 6 strings, it shouldn't pigeonhole you as just being able to be one type of bass player, even though over the years it's had that reputation. But part of my career of playing 6-string was also to show that, like, at the end of the day, it's about the music. It's the music I can get on this, not about all the intricate notes and all the different flashy stuff. Someone's saying here, I always get funny looks for playing a 6. It's a bit annoying. Just ignore it, you know. There's always going to be funny looks for instruments that are a bit... and at this point, it's like the 6-string bass has been around for over 40 years. So it's like, you know, just like get over it. It's like, it's part of the standard. It's pretty normal now. A lot of people I know and a lot of young students that I've been teaching over the years have been playing 6-string bass, which is really cool. It's great to see a lot of people in the kind of mainstream using a 6-string bass. Obviously, Thundercat being one of the big ones. And with his unique style, but also people like, if we look at like Les Claypool from Primus and John Mayong from Dream Theater, even go to like the Grateful Dead, Phil Lesh with his 6-string alembic bass. So this is the thing, it's nothing new, but I would also have the odd comment from some people on gigs like, oh, that's a 6-string bass. Is that a pretty new instrument? Be like, yeah, it's about 40 years old. It's like, oh, okay. That's just what it is at the end of the day. So I think, man, the time just goes by so fast here. You know, that's what they say. Time flies when you're having fun. And I've been having a lot of fun here. I hope you have. I think we're going to wrap it up for today. But this has been really fun to just play and just talk about bass with anybody here who's been listening. Again, if you missed out the earlier part of this live stream, you can always watch the replay, which will literally, as soon as I end this, it'll be up right away. And again, if you haven't and you're watching this, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you can be posted, keep up to date and keep posted with any of the stuff that I'm putting out on my channel. And yeah, someone's in Germany here. Yeah, I bet it's very late there. So thank you for tuning in. I appreciate that. Of course, please check out all my resources that I have on basswithbenjamin.com. You can click on the links that are down below in the description box here. And I have courses on how to play all different bass chords. I have a course, if you're wanting to learn how to play the bass guitar, I have a course on that, like starting right from the beginning, as well as music theory for beginners, for beginner bass players, or even advanced bass players too. Like if you've been playing a while and you're playing all this stuff and you don't know what you're playing, I have a course that is about that as well. There was a time where I had no idea what I was playing, and eventually I learned, and so I have a course that can help you do that as well. But also, I got a free course that is like about my tips on how to get more gigs. So in other words, what you need to know in order to prepare to be a top call bass player. And this is stuff that I've learned from over the years that I've accumulated and put down into a course here so that you can have this information that will help you understand what you need to do to be a top call bass player, as well as some tips on how to kind of emphasize your bass lines even more, so make them pop even more, or make them sound tasty, as I sometimes like to say. If you want me to show you some one-on-one stuff, you just maybe you're working on a particular performance that's coming up and you need some guidance, or if you want to look at a long-term thing where you just want weekly feedback and trying to get out of this plateau that you might be stuck in, I have my bass coaching and mentoring programs as well. So if you want to know more about that, you can contact me through my website at basswithbenjamin.com. Feel free to reach out to me on social media as well. Whatever I can do to help you with your bass playing, that's what I'm here for, and that's what Bass with Benjamin is all about. So, what's my dad saying here? I had the pleasure of playing that Yellow Submarine bass on several blues gigs in Melbourne. Thunder at times. Yeah, that's right. So this bass, when my dad got it restored, then he was using it. He was playing it at jam sessions and having fun with it for many years. He actually had some colored, the different colored DR strings on here for quite a while. So he definitely stood out when he went to a lot of these jam sessions. Right now I have DR fat beams on here, which is what makes it really cool. But anyway, everybody, thank you so much for joining in. This has been a lot of fun. We'll do it again next week, as always. So be safe out there. Great to see you, and have a great rest of your week and the weekend. All right. Take care, everybody. See ya.